what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 13 of Zipline, the official Zipper Interactive podcast. I'm Chris Roper.
I'm Jeremy Dunham, and today we are joined by a guy who has many titles here at Zipper Interactive. We've got senior designer, we've got lead designer of Mag Live.
Hey, I'm referred to as quite often.
Uncle
that
Rudi.
Guy.
Yeah, Uncle Rudi.
Uncle Rudi's another one. It's Scott Rudi.
Hi.
You're our first returning guest.
That's right.
Now, you, if I'm correct here, you requested to come back onto the show.
I did. I think as many questions I answered, both in the podcast and in the forums, we still got a lot to talk about.
And always will.
It's a nice tease for the show. Before we get to some question answering.
Well, first, let me also say that even though Rudi asked to come back, there's also a very high demand from our fans.
Yes, that's true.
That's right. They want to hear more about jetpacks.
That's right. Yeah. There were actually a couple of jetpack questions. We left them off for the Q&A session because everyone already knows you want them.
Yeah.
But they were in there. They remembered.
Speaking of jetpacks, it's time for the Z-Cap.
What is jetpacks?
Nothing at all. Although, if you go to Comic-Con, you'll probably see jetpacks and SOCOM 4.
Ooh.
Because SOCOM 4 is currently playable at Comic-Con.
Very good.
Comic-Con is taking place in San Diego. Opened up yesterday since today's Friday. And it goes through, Sunday, I guess it is. SOCOM's there, playable on the move. You can also play other great Sony titles, such as Killzone 3 and Gran Turismo 5 and Little Big Planet 2 and a bunch of really good stuff. So
we're in booth 4237.
Yep.
So look for us there. I like that jetpack reference. That was nice.
Yeah.
It was like Rocketeer. Yesterday, or Thursday, July 22nd, if you're listening to this far into the future, that was the day that we switched on our faction-neutral sabotage maps in MAG. And I know a lot of people have asked, this is a permanent change, and it's going to allow you to play on any map, regardless of what PMC you're playing on, against any PMC. We did a secret test last week. Some of you may remember. I was there for the whole time. Jennifer Kearley was on. Jason Olander were on. We were out there checking things out. We went over really well with a lot of people, and now we're happy to have it out there. And you can stay tuned for when we're going to turn on Suppression, which is also faction neutral eventually, in the near future.
Right. Now, in Morgue Mag news, you may know that we, every once in a while, usually when new content comes out, we do a little thing called a double XP weekend. You get double experience points for playing. Everybody has a good time. It's great fun for the whole family. What we did recently was turn on essentially double XP for directives. So if you choose to play directives, it puts you into the mode that you're best used as and best used in. You get double the experience points. What has happened since then is instead of everybody just going to play sabotage, which is basically what's happened before, now it puts you in to go play acquisition, puts you in to go play interdiction. It basically leveled out the entire game. If you were having a little bit of trouble getting into one of these other modes before, should be much better now. People are getting into modes much more quickly. Everybody seems to be happy with what's happening, so play some directives.
Yeah, it's varied things up. And one thing that needs to be pointed out about this is a semi-permanent change. And by semi-permanent, I mean it's not timed. It's on there until we switch it off. And right now we have no immediate date by which we are going to switch it off, so enjoy.
Yep. I guess it's time to get to the Q&A part. You've already done this before, so no introduction needed. But it has been, I guess, 10 episodes now, I think, since you were on the show. Plus a missed week from E3. Since that time, what news has happened in your life? New haircut, perhaps?
No, that's not what we're asking. We want to know what you've been focusing on the last few months.
That's personal.
You have gotten a haircut since last time.
I hope so.
At least one.
Yeah.
What has been happening since then?
Mag-wise, we've been continuing to try to refine the Mag experience, fix bugs, polish, and also add these new giant features that are up in the pipes for our near future.
Yeah, when you were on last time, we hadn't yet announced three-faction gameplay and the faction-neutral stuff, and interdiction wasn't even announced at that point. We hadn't
announced basically anything.
Clan Wars, a lot of stuff, so...
Yep, a lot of stuff in the plans. I mean, we're really, really, really excited about the three-faction gameplay stuff. I mean, as soon as we started testing it out, we were really... it's a big improvement, a big change, and I think it'll revitalize a lot of gameplay.
So I think that everybody would like to know exactly what specifically you are personally focusing on in terms of all the things that have already been announced. What is exactly that you're personally just looking at and saying, I'm going to make sure that this is as good as possible?
Well, I mean, a lot of what I'm doing right now is just long-term planning for MAG and make sure that something today will not get quashed by something tomorrow, etc. Trying to push a lot of three-faction gameplay ideas out, trying to look at various aspects of the game that frustrate me as a player as well as a designer, like the respawn screen, a lot of wasted time and space on load screens, and changing the way and polishing and fixing a lot of the way we do a lot of things. So just trying to smooth out the experience a lot better, as well as just the major features.
Now, can you give us an update on the timeline for all of these things that I mentioned a minute ago? So, Interdiction's already out, obviously, but Clan Wars, the three faction stuff, when are we going to see all of these things?
We'll be seeing another patch within a few weeks, if I can say that, which will add some faction neutrality stuff some more, if we haven't turned it on by then. Allow us to do some better patching, a lot of fixes. Forgot what was some of the other features on that.
The perfect segue, because you're going to have the exact details of what you can expect in our next patch. Next week on the blog, we'll have a nice overview of what you can expect in there. It won't be everything, but we're going to give you a nice overview of a lot of the things that you can expect to see in...
The best of hits, if you would.
Yeah, there you go. And the patch will officially be called Mag version 1.07.
Yep, 107. And then beyond that, the patch after that, I don't think we're talking too much about it other than the three-faction gameplay, and we will be messing around quite a bit with the skill tree and other related systems. So more details on that when we release them, and I just don't want to steal any thunder from Dunham and Roper here.
I'm really excited on a personal level about our next two patches. I think there are two, even though 106 was a huge patch and had a lot of stuff in there, I actually think 107 and the patch after that are the two that are really going to be, dare I say it, game changers.
Excellent.
All right, well, we have a whole couple pages here of reader questions, so this would be a pretty long show, so let's get into this. The first one comes from Gouder, who wants to know that in MAG, will the foregrip for the ATAC 2000 ever be fixed? This is the Raven assault rifle. By that, he means that should that assault rifle really be more stable...
Less stable.
Less stable than the Valor or Sever assault rifles when using foregrip.
For that, I've done a good tuning pass on it, and then with this next 107 patch, I want to see how it works in the game. I'll probably respec to it myself, run around with it, and I will keep an eye on it. And if it needs more, then we'll do more.
His core question, though, I think is an interesting one, and one that might address our approach towards assault rifles in general, and it is, should the SCAR and the AG-94 really be more stable than the ATAC? Is that the aim, or are they supposed to be relatively similar? What's the approach?
Well, the thing is that so it all goes back to a memory issue way back in the day when we were building the ATAC, which anyone who's used it or seen it in the game, it's got a crazy organic shape to it. And building a unique foregrip for it would have pushed us over our quota of memory. And so we had to go with it just kind of acts like it's got a half foregrip on it. And so the idea, I'm not saying it's a great idea, but back in the day, the idea is that the other improved assault rifles would be less accurate without the foregrip and more accurate with the foregrip. And so that the attack would be right there in the middle. I'm not 100% happy with it, and I don't think the players are either, so I'm trying to tune around it. We might add a foregrip attachment to it. We're just examining what we can do and what's best to do.
And the whole purpose of the assault rifle really is this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I've always interpreted it, and from what I've gathered from just playing and talking to other people on here, is that it's sort of supposed to be your all-purpose weapon in case you don't want to specialize. It's supposed to be the weapon for everyone that you can jump in and play with, regardless of what your preferences are, before you decide to say, okay, I'm going to be a shotgunner or a sniper or whatever.
Well, it's actually supposed to be the ultimate sniper weapon, and everybody just plays it wrong. It's completely, I don't know. But no, you're right. It is supposed to be the jack of all trades, master of none. If you don't know what else to play with, if you haven't played MAG yet, just start with the assault rifle. And then if you find yourself having more fun and being more effective up close, you go with the SMGs and shotguns. Otherwise, stick to the LMGs, MMGs, and sniper rifles.
English Snake, who has asked this question in not only your forum, your forum Q&A, but also I've seen him ask it elsewhere, wants to know, since MAG, sabotage, and suppression modes are being made neutral, will acquisition and domination follow suit? If so, why? And does this mean that the Shadow War concept is being scrapped altogether? I think this is a really good question, because it's definitely come up a lot lately once we announced that we were going to do neutral stuff.
Yep. So, yes, once we take a look at how sabotage and suppression are acting, and if we like it, then we do have plans to make acquisition and domination modes faction neutral. Again, if we like what we see with the other ones,
so it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. It's probably going to happen, but if it's a bad idea, we won't do it, right? So, and yes, they will continue to have an impact on Shadow War and vice versa. You are still, based on winning percentage and stuff like that, the Shadow War will be granting contracts. And anyone who actually looks into that stuff, you do notice that it is actually a good benefit to have a Shadow War contract.
Zeus's wants to know if GameStop is the only retailer that will offer a SOCOM 4 pre-order bonus, or will we see other retailers offer exclusives as well? Right now, what is on there is that you get Abandoned.
Yes.
You get that as
classic map,
a classic map, and a shotgun.
So I can clarify this for a lot of people because I know a lot of folks have asked this. Now, the map Abandoned is what you get exclusively if you pre-order it at GameStop. If you pre-order it at any retailer, though, that is accepting pre-orders, then you get the Super M90 shotgun, which is a 12-gauge shotgun that has slug ammo. And that you will get anywhere regardless of where you pre-order it from, as long as they accept pre-orders.
Yeah, we would not right now suggest that you hold your breath for a better deal. So go ahead and...
I never understood why people hold their breath for things anyway. You just pass out.
Right. Well...
It's kind of strange.
Unless you're going underwater.
I'm just saying, it's weird.
Yeah.
All right, but if you hold your breath, you're going underwater. That makes sense. You're swimming.
Right.
But why would you sit there and hold your breath to buy something or to go see a movie? It just makes no sense.
It's an underwater shop.
Note that if you're Aquaman, you do not have to hold your breath underwater.
That's true. Or
Yes.
Namor the Submariner.
This is true.
GJE1321, no junior, wants to know if Magfoot soldiers will ever be able to plant explosives on enemy APCs.
Yes, eventually. We do. So towards the end of the regular mag development, we had what we were internally calling remote charges, which were basically C4 you slap on and then remotely detonate. You see this in a ton of other titles. Unfortunately, we could not get it anywhere near the quality that we needed to for a shipping title, and so it's been there on the back burner, waiting for us to return to it, and hopefully we will soon. But with anything, I don't want to put it out there if it's not ready.
And so would you say the chances of getting something like that are high for, it's definitely not in 107 for sure. Do you think the chances for something like that are high for the patch following 107, or do you think it's further down the road than that?
Probably further down the road. I'd really want to devote a lot of time to make sure that this won't break our game or do anything like that. So, and we're already in full production of that next patch right now. So, and it's not part of it. We got much bigger fish to fry for that one.
Woe Ali, or perhaps Wooly, has a question that I'm actually kind of curious to the answer to, and I meant to ask this the other day after our Play Interdiction with Zipper event.
It's also another APC question.
Yes. He wants to know if APCs will ever get a quick select option for seat positions similar to how it's set up in Warhawk. So right now you kind of have to page through what's available, and they wanted to know, hey, can I ever pick the passenger, shotgun seat, I guess.
Although there's not a shotgun there.
Well, but you know what I mean.
I know. I'm just clarifying for those who might not.
There's not a shotgun in my car either, but that's what
you guys are asking for shotguns?
Sure.
No, I'm sorry.
Do you know why people call shotgun?
Because that's where the shotgun is in a police car.
That's right. You didn't know that.
Knowing's half the battle.
I was thinking of the Wells Fargo's, and it was actually a rifleman in that position.
But it doesn't sound as fluid, does it? Rifleman.
Yep.
Yeah.
But for APCs.
Oh, so, okay, back to the matter at hand. So not in the very near future, but I am dissatisfied with how clunky our seat switching is, especially when we added the APC gun ports. Instead of being, 1, 2, 3 to get to any position, now it's like 6 or whatever, and there's that crazy pause in between seat switches where you have to, instead of tap, tap, tap where you want to go, it's tap, count, and it's really frustrating. So I would love to redesign that entire system where you, maybe you hold in the button and then push the directional pad to select the seat you want to go to, so you have, immediate switching, or we do something much more brilliant. So, it will change. I just can't tell you when.
And right now, just so everyone's clear, the logic when you do get into vehicle is basically by priority, right?
Yeah, so assuming an empty vehicle that you aren't already in, you go into the driver position first, and then the main turret, and then through all of the regular mini turrets.
Clockwise,
and then into the passenger area, or the hot tub section. which is what it actually is.
Is it a time machine?
It is also a time machine. Oh,
yes.
And I've got a little story about that. So my old neighbor, a Japanese guy named Shoichi, he builds the cedar hot tubs, and he actually built the hot tub for that movie. And so he's got a swanky hot tub time machine bathrobe now that they gave him.
We should look about getting some kind of tie-in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a possible IP in our future. SOCOM's hot tub time machine.
Kevin Costner did say in the movie that cars are time machines.
Circular Argument, which I guess is pointless, wants to know, what can you tell us about the next MAG game mode you're working on? In the last podcast, Jeremy mentioned that it was, quote, fun.
Did I sound like that?
I don't know.
Boy, this mode is fun.
Yeah.
That was a thank you, Stephen Hawking. So the new game type, as I talked about briefly before, it's 3 factions all pitted against each other.
Right now, for people that haven't played MAG, shame on you, but it's 3 factions to choose from, but only 1-on-1. So you only ever have 2 factions in one match
in
at a
the
time.
current game, right? So this new game type allows all 3 of our teams to compete against each other at the same time, and they're all going for a central objective. And there's not a lot of bunkers or anything. We're keeping it pretty straightforward. It's vaguely similar to Sabotage, I would call it. It's about the closest comparison I can come up with. So, but we are focusing on the infantry combat, straightforward objectives, not a lot of complication. You capture this, opens that, capture it, and hold on for your dear life. What we're seeing right now internally is we're all having more fun than we've had playing MAG in a long time, and we have a lot of fun playing MAG internally. It's a little scary, actually.
Wolverine's Delta wants to know if we'll be seeing Australian troops in SOCOM 4's single or multiplayer. The Australian military actually has a large presence in the region in real life, the region in which SOCOM 4 takes place, and we don't seem to get a lot of recognition for it. We meaning Australians. I'm not Australian. I'm just reading his question. So, what's the answer?
Okay, so if you buy the game in Australia, then 2 of your teammates who are normally Navy SEALs will get swapped out for SASR troops. And this is similar to other countries that you buy the game in. They'll be swapped out for something more region appropriate.
Right. It's a part of the thing to make it a little more international friendly.
Absolutely.
Which is why the name of the game changes to Special Forces.
Special Forces in other regions, yes.
Yep.
But I'm going to see the next time we have Travis on here, someone who's definitely influences that section of the game. I'm going to throw him a curveball and say, what happens if you play it in Korea? Do you now have an all-Korean team? Because you already have 2 Korean Special Forces
That's right.
guys to begin with.
Viper Sweden wants to know if there are any plans to tweak MAG's firing cone to promote burst fire instead of full auto. In other words, the first few bullets will be more accurate than the rest. You get like the kind of 3-shot rather than unload your entire clip.
So that's actually the way it works now, and I can only think it's a failure on my part that it's not very visible. So the ticks on your reticle that expand as you fire, that's actually showing you that your cone is actually expanding, which literally means you're becoming less accurate as you fire. So definitely, if you've got a machine gun or something else that kicks a lot, or the cone expanding a lot, fire in short, controlled bursts, and you will be much more accurate than just mashing on the button. So yeah, the cone starts off very small, and it dilates for every shot you shoot. And the larger guns, like machine guns, will do this faster than like SMGs.
And on a related note, as a bounce off from this question, have you ever considered the idea of, instead of leaving it completely user controlled, that they can set their own fire rates? So that if someone who does have a tendency of mashing the button to begin with, if he sets it to semi-auto or burst fire, whatever you'd prefer to call it, that he'll still only get his 3-shot burst before he has to press it again.
Absolutely. We tested the heck out of that, and we found that it was a fraction of a % of people who actually ever activated those modes. And so in the spirit of, we've got to polish the bigger features before really supporting and worrying about the smaller features, we just had to turn that off. We could turn it on in the future, but I really remain skeptical on how many people would actually use it.
So right now it's more of a, if you're looking for it, it's there. You just have to have the desire to look for it.
Right, and
you can activate it
we
yourself.
also went through, anyone who plays MAG knows that we use every single button on the DualShock, and it comes down to what button do we cannibalize to do this type of behavior. And we used to overload it with the reload button, and hilarity ensued. So it was odd.
Mudmaster and a bunch of other folks has a very good question. Zipper has already announced that 9 more weapons are coming to MAG. With that in mind, is it 3 per PMC? Is it 9 general weapons for all? What can you tell us about these things?
3 per PMC. So it's going to be an assault rifle for each PMC, a medium sniper rifle for each PMC, and a medium machine gun, a big one, for each PMC. And they will not be retextured versions of existing weapons.
They're brand new weapons.
You will never see that again if I have my druthers, where these new ones are a new model. It's based on a completely different real-life gun, and they do have subtle differences in their performance. Like the medium machine guns that we'll be introducing have a slower fire rate, but the bullets each individually do more damage. So a lot of stuff along those lines.
And just so everyone knows, it's definitely these new weapons definitely won't be in 107. It's going to be sometime after 107. So before you ask, I thought I'd answer the question.
Yep. Space Gerbil 1, who has a great name and a good question, and wants to know regarding SOCOM's multiplayer, when will we start getting details about the multiplayer? Because that's what everybody asks. You open up the threads for your visit here, and we said, hey, he's a MAG guy. And they said, SOCOM, what's going on with multiplayer? When are we going to talk about it? When are you going to know information? How many? All these things.
The sad but true answer, if you're a fan, is that we can't tell you that yet. I know we say that every week, but that's just to keep you updated. We still can't tell you yet.
One thing I can say, I've been in the internal playtest and stuff, and it rocks. I'm having a great time helping quote test this. I just go on there to chase Travis around, kill him as much as possible. But
you should too when the game comes out.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out about SOCOM 4 multiplayer, while I can, by the way, is our full-time testers are freaking killing machines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do not mess with our QA. I mean, that's I've been doing this for 16 years, and that's always the general rule, is anyone in QA will play games, any game, better than anyone else in the building.
And they will kill you fast. So if you happen to see one of them online when
Run.
the game does come out, run for your life as quickly as possible. Battleface wants to know if MAG will ever have an extended waypoint system.
Well, it's kind of a general question. It could be taken as a lot of different things. So we will be expanding on a lot of waypoint systems in the future. Some of the things being discussed is, and I'm sure anyone who plays Acquisition will remember this, there's times when people steal the escort vehicle and have absolutely no idea how to get to that distant point on the horizon. So we're talking about more of like a breadcrumbing waypoint system for the driver that only the driver would see. That would be kind of like, here, go this way, stupid. And then we're also talking about, we're always talking about ways to get more stuff for platoon leaders and OICs to do. So, stuff like Frago systems, waypointing for various squad leaders, kind of a hey, go here, do this communication tool for players. And then another waypoint example that we're talking about is squad leaders being able to set up multiple waypoints so they can, instead of say go to this destination, they can actually, much like the escort vehicle driver, go this way to get to the destination. So there's a lot we can do with that. And then we're also talking about somehow adding landmarking text to your CNI so that somebody could say, meet me at the rail yard, and you open up the CNI and you see the rail yard, and systems like that. Somebody recommend a grid-based system, which honestly we had not considered, and I love it. So kudos to you. I will kudo you. Do they let us kudo?
Yeah.
The greenies?
Yeah.
Do we give mega kudos or something?
No,
or dev kudos?
It's not like the primaries. There are no.
As lead designer, I demand that my kudo be worth 10 kudos. Can you get on that?
I don't control the boards.
Me either.
But now
there's that.
Speaking of the CNI, though, that leads to the next question, which comes from Lythery. I'll go with the pronunciation of. And this person wants to know if we're going to see changes to MAG CNI to make it more user-friendly.
So, the grid and the landmark text is one. It's actually a really good segue. We're always looking for ways to improve it. There's a lot of debate. We go back and forth, and it's divided into camps on whether the CNI should spin to equal your facing or if it should say static and all that stuff. We're going to leave that as is right now. And we don't have any big plans for CNI redevelopment right now. It seems even if there are small problems, we've got much bigger fish to fry, to repeat a phrase. So no, I wouldn't expect anything short term.
BQ11 wants to know if SOCOM 4 will give each faction their own specific gun, or if all weapons will be usable by anyone.
There's going to be dedicated weapons per faction.
But you can pick up weapons if there's a dead person. You can pick it up and
the scavenge.
And use it. Yes, scavenge feature.
Moon Devil wants to know if mag veterans will get perks outside of the veteran perks, outside of the 10% experience bonus that they currently get.
There's a conversation that we've had a lot of times.
Yeah, we discuss this, was it every Thursday for all day? We talk about this a lot. And yes, we are working on veteran benefits. And and this has been talked about on the forums, and it's exactly right. You want to do something that will make it worth it for people to vet without unbalancing the game. You don't want to give, complete super weapons to these guys who vet, because then the best players get better, and so on and so on.
And if they vetted, they probably already are good at the game.
Absolutely.
So you're just empowering the powerful.
Yep. And so we're discussing several different things, and nothing is for sure, but stuff like, increasing the loadout budget that when you're in the armory a little bit for vets, some more ammo and stuff, XP and leadership bonus stuff, airstrike stuff. There's a lot that we can do, and there's a lot that we shouldn't do. So we're really trying to get to the bottom of that.
We're really trying to approach that one. I can tell you as a team, we're trying to approach that one as carefully and accurately as possible, because you break something like that and you can really mess the game up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And going back to something that I think we might have talked about the first time you were on here, is one thing you absolutely don't want to do is take anything away from the player that you've already given them.
Yep.
So if it was changed and we said, here's a free nuke if you vet, which is
there
not
will
gonna
be
happen.
no nukes in mag.
But let's say you did that and then you realize, oh my God, that was an awful mistake. Then now you have to take it back, and then you now are
sure. It's a design guideline not to take anything away. Although whatever's best for the game is best for the game. So you do what you have to do, but preferably same thing about weapons and nerfing. And some people are upset that we quote nerfed the LMG in the last patch, and honestly, what we did was make it more like it should have been. I think, and I'll take full responsibility for this, is I had tuned the LMG in a way so that there would really never be a reason to use an assault rifle, or honestly, for that matter, any other weapon.
Was that by accident, or was
that was just a mistune? That was me, thinking it works, and just didn't do my job appropriately enough. But I think in this last patch, I got it much more to the point where I wanted it to be. And then, of course, I accidentally messed up the foregrips for sniper rifles and assault rifles. That's been fixed. Quit threatening me.
And that will be fixed when?
In the upcoming patch here, the 107 patch.
Aim Fix, which I think is an appropriate name given what you're just talking about, wants to know if there are any plans to alter MAG's acquisition mode.
Yes.
Personally speaking, I'm excited what we have planned for this.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a big shot in the arm for the mode.
Yep.
We can't talk about it yet.
Yeah, and everybody knows I usually try to be as direct as I can, and the reason I don't want to talk about this is we have yet to test it with my fix. And if it's a colossal mess up, I don't want to lead people in the wrong direction and create a bunch of confusion.
Then pretend this conversation never happened, if that happens.
Which conversation?
Exactly.
Demolicio wants to know if SOCOM 4 characters will ever change their clothes or uniforms in single player. Like, for example, if you go to a jungle mission, we put on jungle camo.
No, just the scope of the missions in SOCOM 4. It's actually a very tight time period, and so no one has really a lot of time for a costume change or however you want to put it. So think of like the show 24. You don't see a lot of costume changes because it's literally one day. So no, don't expect a lot of.
Yeah, the whole storyline is that they're caught a bit unaware.
Yep.
And that they're stuck in the situation for several days. Pilot Guy 08 wants to know if we'll see any new maps for existing MAG game modes.
Yes, but not soon. Like I was talking about earlier, we're really excited about this, 3 faction at once thing, and anyone who plays MAGs knows that that's not how we do our maps right now. So eventually, sure, we will get to the point where we can actually throw in another domination map or two, or or what have you. But short term, we're really focusing on the 3 faction stuff.
And I think the faction neutral change probably helps the speed at which that will happen, because it would seem to me like now you don't require 3 maps to come out. You could now just release 1 and it would be okay since it's all neutral. So
absolutely.
Blackuya. There's no
Wait,
second L there. So
okay,
it's a tricky
no,
one.
hold on, everybody. Go back to my original podcast.
Yeah.
And the same thing came up. The Blackula discussion has already happened.
Yep.
So pause this podcast, go listen to that, and go ahead and return.
This person wants to know if we will be adding new mag weapons later this year, or it says we are adding new weapons later this year, but are we also adding new attachments?
Not yet. We will be at some point, but not in the next near future here.
Segue question.
Mm-hmm.
The attachments that we might eventually add, would they just be additional versions of stuff we've already done, or would we also explore the the option of doing all new attachment types?
New attachment types... Man, just completely honestly, right now, I don't think so. We've got a pretty good variety of different types of attachments. The only thing I would start looking at would be instead of like an underbarrel grenade launcher, we do a master key, which is a shotgun underslung on an assault rifle. But that would still be technically the same kind of attachment as a grenade launcher. So on the order of that stuff, sure, maybe like a laser pointer device that would be instead of something else.
What about a ballistics knife?
Ballistics knife? Or a gun that shoots exploding knives?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I was supposed to make a movie about that, wasn't I?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm just so busy. I'll get back to work on that. We'll have to delay the patches for a while.
Okay. IP Utrecht wants to know if there'll be victory dancing in SOCOM 4 multiplayer. Wait, before you answer this, new SOCOM 4 multiplayer news right now. Go ahead.
Yes.
Boom! News delivered. That feels good.
And I take no responsibility of the dances or anything else like that. So if they're highly inappropriate or silly looking or like an Elaine type dance, yeah.
I would love to see the lane dance in the
Guild
game.
Wars had it. Guild Wars
man.
had it. You played. I think it was a human dance, and you would do the full on Elaine dance.
That is great.
Yeah.
I love that. And Rich 007 or E-Rich wants to know, or he said he'd like to see different command strikes in MAG, a heat-seeking strike that takes out APCs, for example. Are new strikes under consideration right now, or is this all we are ever going to have as it is now?
Under consideration, yes. Under construction, no. So we are focusing on a bunch of different areas, and we may get to it, yes, because there's a ton of great airstrike and command ability type stuff that we can do, and it's just plan them out, doing them, and try not to break the game.
V. Rivas Jr. asks if there are any thoughts on capping the amount of times someone can be revived in MAG.
Right now, we haven't discussed it too much. It does pop up every once in a while, and just we discuss the whole reviving thing again and again, and trying to see how we can improve it or clarify it, and so on and so forth. We honestly have not come to any hard conclusions or plans at this point. I want to keep an eye on it. I've done a little bit of tuning on how incapacitated or downed players take damage, just to clarify things a little bit more. So aim for the head after the patch, I'll say that. But otherwise, yeah, there's no hard plans yet on like a hard limit of reviving times.
Was there ever any internal testing on if you go down but you're bleeding out but not too bad, if you were able to crawl to get to cover or get close to your teammates?
We were even discussing at some point on if you're incapacitated, you'd still have a slight amount of mobility and you'd be able to use your sidearm. And it just got to the point of, once again, my biggest enemy, memory, of having all those unique animations. The way that we do incapacitation animations, quote, is we basically put motors on the ragdoll. And that's why I was playing Copper Hills Relay the other day as a Sever guy. And I was killed up in the mine building. I was on my back, hanging half off of a ledge, and my arms are still waving, and it looked actually really cool. I actually enjoyed being incapacitated there for a long time. And of course, there's Valor guys crawling all over the place right under me, so I kept on wanting to fall on them and somehow damage them.
Mashed potatoes. Delicious as always. Wants to know, he says, generally speaking, how many hits does it take to kill an enemy in SOCOM 4? Is the damage based on a specific weapon or caliber, or is it on where you land the bullets? Explain, smiley face.
Roughly, with the way the tuning is right now, around 3 bullets with the average assault rifle.
To the body.
To the body, chest hits. That's basically where it's at right now. And, of course, heavier weapons drop them quicker, and smaller weapons drop them with more hits.
We also have location-specific damage in some areas of the body.
Headshots.
Headshots, and you actually...
Foot shots, all that stuff.
So.
We actually... the collisioninfo zipper file that we use has over a dozen specific locations.
And Fresno isn't one of them. Sorry,
and Fresno. We don't go down to the finger level, but we're pretty damn close. So it's actually pretty neat.
I will say that weapon use in SOCOM 4 is satisfying because you can take somebody down pretty quickly, so it feels like your weapons actually have some
absolutely.
Some weight to them,
Travis and Ryan have done a bang-up job on the weapons. I'm actually a little jealous with some of their stuff right now because their whole third-person thing.
And for those of you who don't know who Ryan is, he hasn't been on the podcast yet. That's Ryan Fegge. He's one of our designers. He's the one focusing specifically on the SOCOM 4 weapons.
He's quite literally our biggest designer.
Is he? You think so?
I'm 6'2", and I look up at him.
Yeah.
He's not Keith big, but he's...
No. We have an artist named Keith who's 6'7".
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
And have you noticed how we always talk about tall people on the show? It's because we're not tall.
Yeah.
That's why.
I hadn't noticed.
And that's because you're tall.
Oh,
bastard.
That's right.
Infiniete, I think, which is a cousin of the Chupacabra.
The deadly La Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
Wait, didn't we have that at lunch the other day, the Chupacabras?
Yes. The Mojado. Will there ever be a vote to demote option to remove unwanted mag leaders?
Yeah, actually we see the vote to kick system being used simply to get somebody out of the leadership position, and that's not as it's intended. In fact, I think the vote to kick system is being abused in a lot of situations. So, yeah, a vote to demote, I think, would be a very good change to make, where if somebody's just not working out as a squad leader, man, you got to get them out. And for all those hearing this and don't have a microphone or not interested in being a squad leader and you actually chose to be a squad leader, do everyone a favor, hit pause, change your role, and get out of there so someone who can drive the boat can get in there and do it.
Actually, I'm thinking back to when you and I were talking in your office about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were playing just a sabotage map.
Yeah.
And you were I think in the sniper role, and you weren't the squad leader. And the squad leader, you just kept telling, "Hey, fraggo this area.
For the love of God, man, fraggo the target."
Over and over again.
Yeah.
And the guy wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And instead, it was pretty funny, though, but because he was always in front of you, and he just kept dying over and over again.
Yeah.
And you'd revive him. It's like, okay, if I revive you, frag it. And you bring him back, and nothing.
And he wouldn't. Yeah, so there was some swearing that day.
Yep. Red Jaren wants to know what the chances are that Zipper can reverse mag player collision so that he can walk through his teammates and not through the enemies.
So one of the first games I worked on was Red Baron 2. Actually, it's one of the first ones I had a design credit. So thank you, Red Jaren. So to answer your question for real is we won't do that. We will not let you intersect with your teammates. And the main reason for that is the hit detection stuff. We basically have a series of capsules before we start detecting rigid bodies and just this complex system to give us the ability, like I was talking about earlier, to shoot someone in the hand. And just doing that, having people inside of each other and other kind of freakish stuff. We better edit that out. People intersecting each other.
Eyes Wide Shut's been out for a number of years.
All right.
So it's okay.
Yes, thank you. People intersecting each other presents hit detection as well as physics. If people went ragdoll like that, there would be we'd see like the APCs at the start of interdiction. It'd be like that with people. As awesome as that would be.
Boozy wants to know why Ops Commander is wearing jeans in SOCOM 4. And I'll actually answer this one.
This question, it comes up pretty often.
And it's actually tied into what we were talking about a little bit earlier, and that's that they're completely caught unaware of the situation, and that they weren't necessarily ready to go and dressed in their normal fatigues or uniforms when what happens. And that's why he was, he's pretty much partially in his civvies when this goes on.
Somebody may say, was he painting something because he's got a knee pad on, maybe like you'd paint a wall?
Oh, maybe he's a catcher.
Yeah. So you will find out when you play the game.
The first incarnation of the game was actually you would start with the night mission, and the whole campaign would be played in their pajamas. They were totally off guard.
Sweet.
Interesting. But then the problem is, like we discussed, you don't really change clothes. You would have been playing this massive finale in your pajamas, and it would have just looked silly, and the whole thing would have...
Speaking of pajamas, we actually had an old colleague in our old job who once went to interview Hideo Kojima in his pajamas.
Oh, that rocks.
Yeah.
Who was in their pajamas?
The person that went to interview Kojima, not Kojima himself.
I was about to say, if Kojima
it was pretty
does
daring.
It, then, yeah.
It was daring.
Was this a Hugh Hefner thing, or
no?
He just wanted to do it.
Just thought it'd be funny.
Wow. Okay. Excellent.
Mad Fireball says, will there ever be any additional game modes for MAG outside of Domination that support the full 256 players?
We have a lot of stuff on paper like we'd want to do. One of them's we call it internally an assault style map with 2-faction, 256 players. So there's a lot of stuff on paper that we may get to eventually, sure. With the 3-faction stuff, if we have 364-player factions in one map, you get 192. I don't think we'd want to try with the 384, 128 player thing. I think that would break something somewhere. But yeah, 256, more 256 maps. Yeah, definitely we can return to that.
So possible,
yep.
But currently nothing being built.
Yeah, nothing being built right now.
Okay. Genius Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Wants to know if there's
poster.
Any chance that existing MAG maps would ever be used for different game modes?
We've been discussing this actually for quite some time, and it's all into like having anchor points in the world that we put walls, objectives, and various other physical things in, as well as dynamic objectives and stuff. And the benefit of doing that is that you wouldn't have to construct an entirely new level from scratch, because the terrain and placement and all that stuff takes forever to put together. So we've been looking into that. We would like to do that. We are not currently under construction of doing that at the time, but keep your eyes open.
Big Fred!
That
scared the
You just missed Roper jump about 4 feet in the air.
Well, we were talking about before this. I'm pretty tired today, and so that I'm focused on one thing at a time, and then that... Anyway, Big Fred wants to know if it's been mentioned that you can revive teammates in single player. How will you do this?
And that's for SOCOM 4.
Actually, I think we need to revive Roper at this point.
No, that
God,
did revive
killed him. Oh, my God. So... SOCOM 4 is going to keep this pretty straightforward, where basically a teammate goes down, you run to them and hold in the action button.
So similar to MAG.
Yeah, similar to MAG, but without the gear switching, etc. So, yeah, keep it simple, keep it fast, keep the gameplay moving.
I Heart Trance 1.
Paul Oakenfold.
Okay.
Again, Jeremy, you're blowing my mind here.
Ammo increases for MAG's assault rifle. Will it happen? Also, is it possible to rearrange the order of the explosive tree so that Tier 1 and Tier 2 are swapped, put the AT and the AP mines together, and the AGAE together as well? I tried to go...
That sounded so natural.
He just butchered that entire...
I'm trying to pilfer out the MAG players from the SOCOM guys.
Yes,
the SOCOM guys can skip ahead 30 seconds for this answer.
All right. So the ammo increases for ARs, yes, impending out in 107. You people will be happy. We aren't... adding more ammo per magazine, but we are adding a couple more magazines. So
is it just to the AR, or is it
no?
To
it's actually
guns?
to a lot of weapons. Specifically, anything that's not a machine gun, you will have more ammo. And eventually, not in the next patch, we will be having gear items like light ammo packs, which traditional old SOCOM players know that would like double your primary weapon ammo and stuff, but it costs you a gear item. So and then we have some more fancy stuff that I'm a big fan of that I can't talk about yet to help out with the ammo situation. So as far as the skill tree, like I mentioned earlier, we are completely ripping apart the skill tree and putting it back together.
It's
And
like
a lot
the
of the stuff.
$1 Million Man.
Yes,
$6 Million Man.
yes, but with the whole body instead of just like his finger, which made awesome sounds. So yes, and stuff will be in more logically grouped and stuff like that as well.
Hell's Disciple, actually, this is interesting because we touched on this a little bit earlier with Mag, wants to know if there's a select fire option like in other SOCOM games for SOCOM 4, and how do you activate the fire mode if you can? So, yeah, basically, do you get the semi-auto or full auto or...
Yep. SOCOM 4 is going with this right now. They are still figuring out the controller issues like we did, and with them seeing what we went through with Mag, I think they can probably approach it a little bit better long term than we could have. So without guaranteeing, yeah, sure.
This is actually Ice Goat. I just misspelled his name on the sheet. Sorry, Ice Goat 63.
So Ice Goat 63 or Ice Guy at
Ice G at 63 as they put it on the
says,
paper.
what mag loadout does Rudi use to play, and what is your favorite mode, map, and position on that map?
And one last thing, he also called you his hero.
That's right. That's
he did.
Ice Guy at.
Look it up.
Thank you. He just shows how little he knows about me because, my God, I'm a horrible person. So one of the things I do, every time I qualify for a respec, I respec. I try to mix up the weapons I use as much as possible so I can get a holistic view of how our weapons are performing in the game with me playing against real players. I just got done with shotguns and submachine guns and all the short range stuff, and it's got some wheels turning on some shotgun attributes. Keep an eye out for some shotgun. I won't call it an improvement, but well, it is an improvement. I'm hoping that they're a lot more consistent. I'm not going to say they're more powerful or less powerful or anything else like that, but there's been times when I've shot people right in front of me and you see the bullets hitting all around him. And anyone who shoots, I'm a big trap shooter or used to be, that's not how shotguns work. It's not completely random coming out. So expect to see improvements on that. And I just respect to my favorite. I give myself an excuse to go back to my heavy machine guns with bipods. So I'm playing as that for the short term. So that answers the first part. The last part, I'm a big Copper Hills Relay fan. I think that's one of our maps where everything really came together very well. Some people may disagree, but I just have a lot of fun in that. There's a lot of places to hide. When I'm not playing with machine guns, I'm a big ninja. I like to jump inside a little crevasse and wait till somebody comes in front of me and then I just totally stab them or something. And I try to do that as many times until somebody realizes there's a bunch of bodies piled up there and flushes me out or something.
Dynasty Warrior would like to know if Zipper can change the way mag interdiction starts, such as allowing the APCs to drive through each other for the first 15 seconds or something like that. Whenever he plays, he feels at the beginning of the game is chaos with APCs smashing into each other as they drive away.
This is something we're taking very seriously right now. It's a hit detect or collision detection / net issue. We are trying to figure out how to fix this without, completely blowing up other areas of our game internally. And we were considering spacing them out more, having them have a rolling start so the ones in front would start before the ones in back, all kinds of stuff. And we honestly need to fix that as soon as possible.
Psycho 410, as well as others. So last week, Tom said that SOCOM 4 maps will be just as big as SOCOM 3's maps. Was he talking about single-player maps, multiplayer maps, or both?
New SOCOM 4 info incoming.
So the SOCOM 3 maps were all over the place size-wise, so that's kind of a tough one to answer.
And we were actually talking to Travis a little bit before the podcast to get a little bit more information on this. And he told us that the single-player maps are roughly the same size and density to the smaller S3 maps that didn't have vehicle-based gameplay. But on the multiplayer side, they range in size. So you could be looking at things that get just as big as the vehicle SOCOM 3 size maps, like Harvester, or Blackwoods is probably somewhat of the same size as most of the maps in S4.
Mm-hmm.
I would say playing the single-player maps, they're actually a lot better and just a lot tighter and a lot more of a better experience than the S3 maps.
Well, you can add. I mean, it's just the PS3 helps a lot with that because you can add a lot of stuff to them, and
that, and also just the quality and the forethought and the design of the maps. Mm-hmm. And I designed a lot of the S3 maps, so I don't feel bad saying this at all. But Travis's crew pretty much kicked my butt as far as mission design. So.
And Travis also wanted to let everybody know that S4 will also have some of the smallest maps we've ever seen in a SOCOM game. So that's interesting.
Yep.
Moose 55 or Muzz 55, something like that. And wants to know if there's any plans. We've touched on this a little bit to handle Mag's team killing and the vote to kick system any differently.
Yes. So the vote to kick stuff we talked about, and again, I'm not happy 100% with it. I mean, we have to have some form of vote to kick because you're always, somebody out there just being completely inappropriate or just completely pissing everyone off.
Olander.
You want to kick that person. Yeah, like Olander, just by his very nature. But we do want to polish it a lot more. I think it could use some help. As far as the team killing, we do need to work on that as well. I made the decision, 106 or before that, where the knives won't have any friendly fire damage on them.
105 or 106.
Yeah, it's one of those. And so that was not optimal, but that's what we could do on a very short order. And when we can, which hopefully will be the patch after this coming one, we will do what actually Jeremy originally recommended, which is basically just turn off friendly fire when you're interacting with an objective. Because that's really the issue, and that's where we see most of it, where you're planting a bomb, somebody else wants that points, and so they come up and knife you and do it themselves. And so...
particularly with interdiction, now that there's trophies associated
and all
with,
that kind of stuff.
With getting those objectives.
Absolutely. The reason we did not do that was the amount of work and testing and all that stuff that would have been required to do it. And turning off the damage for knives was something literally we could do with a push of a button. And so, and I think it's helped a lot. We don't see a lot of people ninjaing each other and accidentally knifing each other, which Miss Marty Pants was prone to do. It was actually just to nerf her specifically.
She really was.
Because I got tired of that really quick. But so once we get the better team killing stuff figured out and in and tested, then we will bring back the knives. Because right now there's some, like Thagmore. I personally apologize to you, Thagmore, and you're 100% right. And just it creates a situation where you have groups of friends and enemies. You go in swinging because there's no penalty. There's no reason not to, and that's broken. I don't like that. Nobody likes that.
Wolf 71288 952876352 wants to know if there'll be a MAG training mode that covers how to use leadership roles in the future. This is a question that a lot of people ask all the time because they say people, like you were talking, last week you're playing and you're telling this dude to set the Fraggo and they just don't know how to do it or they don't pay attention to it.
I think he just hated me and that's why he didn't do it. He knew
Probably,
full well.
But in some cases that is real. They don't know what they're
doing.
It's
like an abusive relationship. You kept reviving him and he wasn't doing anything for you.
That's true. If I loved him a little bit more, he would have been better.
You don't have to take this. Get out while you can.
Yeah, but anyway, but it is a thing that people want to know.
We're going to get in trouble from that, you know that,
yeah,
right?
Probably. Will there be better ways to explain how leadership roles work to new players?
Yeah, so eventually, it's another thing that we want to do as soon as possible, but we are currently not working on it because of all the other giant stuff we're working on. But as of level 15, the first thing you'll see is basically say, would you like to do the leadership training? And we have a specific, probably generic level. I wouldn't want to do a separate level for each faction with this, and it just run you through, this is how you set fraggos, this is how you call in airstrikes, this is what this icon means and stuff, all the specific to leadership position information that you need to know. And it wouldn't be mandatory, and you still technically could be a squad leader without doing it, but the way I'd want to handle it is that it becomes a major, giant part on squad leader and platoon leader selection. So
it was implemented where if you have the mic,
yeah, absolutely.
Does it, so it's similar to that.
Right, and for the same reason, I wouldn't make it mandatory that if no one had done it, the freak occurrence, that you would still have somebody that could be a squad leader. generally speaking, yeah, if you've got a mic and or been through this training, then you will win out almost every time against somebody who doesn't have either or both.
And once again, just to be clear, it's on the wish list, but not currently being built.
Correct.
Partner, who's an old friend of the podcast, wants to know if the animals in SOCOM 4 are destructible. Jeremy, that's me, had confirmed that chickens and flying birds would be in the game earlier in the year on the forums, and he wants to know if we can shoot them.
I like to shoot them.
Yes, you can. You can shoot them. The chickens are very destructible, and there's even a trophy you get for it.
Is it called the Randy Johnson fastball? Because
man,
I think that would be kind
tremendous.
of awesome.
That was tremendous.
It wasn't a chicken, but
and they had to record that. I think that counted as a ball.
Yeah, which is kind of messed up.
Yeah, that's why I love baseball.
Bird slaughter.
Yeah. In fact, there's several company meetings where the exploding chickens or killing the chickens was actually a major part of the a major festivity part of the company meetings.
Unfortunately, I actually don't know what they're called. I forget the name of that trophy.
It should be Randy Johnson fastball.
We'll have to look it up.
Yep.
Or the Colonel.
Last question of many questions comes from Oren, and you would like to know what Zipper plans on doing to make helicopters a more reliable spawn point in the future.
So I actually recently gave helicopters more health, and Ben Jones, one of our guys on the design team, just sped up how much time it takes for them to basically fly in and settle. And so both put together should make them a lot more survivable, mostly the health, but the settle time too, because it was just a little frustrating that they couldn't quite land fast enough, damn it. We're also looking at things like the gun arcs seem a little bit limited right now. We can cover a little bit more area. And so we're going to try that stuff out and then take a look to see what we need to do more if we need to do it.
And with that, it's time for the zip tip.
So for the zip tip, for those of you who this might be your first episode, the zip tip is anything that our special guest would like to impart unto you. It's some kind of wisdom that they give you. It could be about a game, could be about life, could be about anything in particular.
At this point, the only tip that you can't say is play Mag as a team because
we've heard that about
it's been done too many times. So
at least 3 times.
You got to pick something different.
All right. So, number 1, play Mag as a team.
Number 2, play SOCOM 4 as a team.
That's right. Number 3, never go up against the QA department of any company because they will just wipe the floor with you.
I would like to know if, let's say, the World of Warcraft QA guys, if you tried to play them in Mag, would they still win? I mean, they're QA guys.
Oh yeah, it's inherent to their position. I think when you join QA, they give you some kind of a game steroid. So the QA team on Barbie Horse Adventures would just destroy me in any game known to man. It's inherent.
So there's your tip: don't play the QA guys in games.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of stuff has been said before. Res everyone when you're picking your initial skills. Skill up in the medical tree, so you can get not only the med kit but the second tier resuscitation, because that's huge. That's a game turner right there. If you can keep on resuscitating down teammates. Another good one is if you're driving a vehicle, that R1 button creates that smoke cloud, and that more than anything else will protect your vehicle, especially in acquisition games where the APC serves almost like a battering ram. You run right up to that gate and you try to jump out and do some bomb on the gate action. Man, do that smoke cloud first and you will be helping yourself immensely. Oh, and my last zipper tip, I've got a lot of them, is smoke grenades remain the most important weapon you have against enemy turrets. Use them, create a smoke screen. On defense, whenever somebody smokes me and I'm in a DE turret, I jump out because you are neutralized. You're firing blinding and of no use to anyone. So use those smoke grenades.
And with that, I believe we are at the end of the show. This might have set the record for might have even beat Seth Luisi on this one. He had a pretty long show.
Yeah, good show though.
Because I'm Scott Rudi.
Scott Rudi had very insightful answers. I think we should thank him. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's only 2 people clapping, but I have meaty paws.
That's right.
It's fast for WFA.
Yeah.
That's right, and we could double it up.
I can add it in post. I'll get like
the
the Threes Company cheering in the background.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Come and knock on our door.
Well, Chrissy! Mr. Furley.
Well, wait, Mr. Roper's right here.
That's right. Well, now you have Furley and Roper in the same room.
We need to hire someone in for early.
Thank you, Scott, for coming on the show again.
No problem.
As always, if you want to find us on your favorite social network sites, you can find us at Twitter. You can simply look for Zipper. You can go on Facebook. We're on there, doubly special. You can search for Zipper Interactive, or you can look for SOCOM. We have the whole SOCOM franchise fan page there. Obviously, it's on 4 right now. But
Facebook.com/SOCOM. You go right to us. Facebook.com/Zipper Interactive. Go right to us. You can also email us at zipline@zipperint.com. Any questions that you have for this podcast or just in general, but here's a tip. If they're not for the podcast, we're not going to answer them. And you can also go to the official Q&A threads for these podcasts on either the SOCOM.com or mag.com forums.
Next week's guest is SOCOM producer, SOCOM 4 producer even, Cade Myers.
Cade Myers, who's a nice guy.
He is.
Funny guy.
You might remember him from the E3 behind-the-scenes video. He kicked the whole thing off.
That's right. He was in the very first scene.
Yep. That is him. That is he.
He'll be on next week to answer your SOCOM 4 questions. A couple of mag, but mostly SOCOM 4. Once again, Scott Rudi, I want to say thank you.
You're welcome. I hope I can come back on.
Man.
If they don't fire me from this last podcast.
Yeah, we'll see how this we'll see how this one is accepted, and
man.
You may or may not be seen again.
Yeah, it's just you can have my office.
All right, with that, we will see you guys next week.
Because I'm Scott Rudi. Double rainbow. It's a double rainbow. Oh, God. A double rainbow.
Damn!
Double rainbow. It's a double rainbow. Oh, God. A double rainbow.